So I feel yes, disclosure will happen, and it's interesting because I was speaking to Nick Pope, and we just did a video with Nick Pope, and he was like, disclosure's already happened because technically disclosure is just releasing information that's been hidden, and they've released it. So the disclosure on that level has happened. Now it's in time for it to be implemented and for us to understand what the gravity is on this. But truly, the rabbit hole goes really, really deep because if we were to figure out the lies behind all of this, the secrecy behind all of this, all of the advanced technology that was created from this, how many lives could have been saved from this technology that we had, how we could have saved the planet, how it connects to our ancient civilizations.
Revolution Radio proudly presents, live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Welcome. We are here live once again. You're listening to the Just Bernard Show here on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio, our new URL as well. We are streaming live on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Bernard Alex Alvarez. Today we are going to be speaking with Neil Gaur from Portal to Ascension, one of my favorite organizations, who is also trying and succeeding, I see, in sharing the message of awakening, disclosure, and enlightenment. And we're going to be joined by Neil in just a moment. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Many of you already do know Neil. Neil Gaur is the founder of Portal to Ascension, an online platform for all things consciousness. He has been producing consciousness and conscious-related conferences, workshops, and webinars for 8 years now. I remember when you all started. He works closely with whistleblowers, researchers, archaeologists, scientists, and spiritualists to assist in creating and pioneering a new paradigm of awareness that will assist us in the coming years as the planet ascends into higher octave of existence. We're going to be discussing his next project, which is coming up in a few weeks, the ET Disclosure Summit 2018. And we're going to cover a little bit about what's going on with Portal to Ascension after the conference and what will be going on this year. What looks like we are designed to change the status quo as we know it and begin the process of rewriting the history books and disclosing the truth of our existence. So with that, let me welcome my guest, Neil Gaur is joining us live. Hi, Neil. How are you?
Hey, Bernard. Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. I know we had a little bit of mix-up on the time, all these crazy time zones, but I'm so glad to have you.
All in divine. Thank you.
Anyway, Neil, so tell me, first of all, it's been about a year since you've been on the show. How have you been?
Been good, man. Been really busy. Last year was us taking a lot of things to the next level. We started doing live events again, so our schedule's been really full. But my wife and I we moved out in May of last year, and now we're full-time travelers. So we don't really have a place that we're staying. We're just going from location to location, and wherever we go, we're filming, we're creating documentaries, and just feeding it back to Portal to Ascension.
Wow, fantastic. So you say that you've been traveling. What kind of where have you been going? Tell us a few places you've been.
So the most amazing place that we went was Peru. We just came back from Peru, and we spent 12 days in the jungle on an ayahuasca retreat over there. And then we went and teamed up with Brian Forster, who's a foremost researcher in that area, who's dealing with the elongated skulls and basically helping rewrite history through the avenue of Peru. We teamed up with him, went on a 10-day journey where we went to these megalithic sites. We went off-roaded into the middle of nowhere at ancient graveyards that only grave robbers go to, and we filmed the skeletal remains and the wrappings, and found a lot of different archaeological sites that haven't even been broadcasted online or made a documentary of yet. So we gathered all that footage, and now we're working with UFO TV, who's kind of like a Gaia TV. Do you know who UFO TV is?
Yes, I do.
So, so we're working with them, and it's a partnership where they basically cover 50% of all of our costs to travel anywhere in the world, and we create a documentary wherever we're at. We give them the footage, they create a full feature film out of it. So the Peru one is going to be our first full feature documentary.
Oh wow, that's fantastic! And what a great person to do it with. We had Brian on about a month ago, I believe, and I've always you did what I've always wanted to do: is spend time with Brian and go into the woods and check out these old ancient sites. So that must have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And he's actually, well, we're actually going to take him on tour next year, part of another project that we're doing. We're going to be traveling with him across the states, presenting the information on this. And on February 2nd, he's actually going to be in LA presenting the DNA results of the elongated skulls that haven't been released publicly yet.
Oh, that's right. He was mentioning that they were awaiting the results of those tests.
Yeah, they're out there.
What got you guys started on this journey? What was it that drew you to this work?
Well, I would say back in 2001, when I first graduated high school, in 2001, I went to Cal State Fullerton. I was a freshman, and I started just basically watching videos and researching things alternative. I'd been into writing poetry for quite some time. My poetry was on really conscious topics, like topics that I didn't even know existed, like extraterrestrials, ancient civilizations, and I would write like quantum physics in there, and it was just me making words up without any knowing. Right. So just understanding sound frequency made me realize that, like, religion and science, I always thought was something completely separate. They didn't go hand in hand. But then through realizing Eastern philosophy, I realized that quantum physics was the missing link between religion and science. And through vibration and frequency, we can achieve these levels of enlightenment. So this just led me down a rabbit hole where I actually went even so deep that I went into the conspiracies from like 2002 to 2008. I was hardcore conspiracy theorist, like Illuminati's going to get us, like really negative. And in 2008, I met a few people that through synchronicities, alignments with these individuals, sharing poetry and art, comedy at open mics, I realized that the missing link in everything that I was doing was love. And when I realized that love was the missing link, it kind of brought everything together. And that's when I created the online group that over a few 2 years morphed to the name Portal to Ascension. But it basically became this whole entire platform where we're just doing nonstop events, but the underlying premise of everything is the evolution of consciousness, and that no matter what is shared, the end result is going to be an ascended world. So that's basically how it came about.
Wow. And I remember those early days, and there was some wonderful stuff coming out. Well, there's still wonderful stuff coming out, but it was very interesting how, well, I guess I'll share what I'm feeling, because I kind of am feeling that excitement again. I don't know if you remember back then how exciting it was to see with new eyes and see with a new clarity and understanding. I'm starting to feel that again after the new year. It seems like we're shifting into that. But I can completely relate to your experiences of going down that dark conspiracy rabbit hole where, they're going to kill us. And I remember, running outside and looking for the spaceships coming, the invasions. I remember waiting for the tanks to roll in. Alex Jones saying, the tanks are coming. They're going to roll down your street any minute,
Right.
and getting ready to get my bug out bag. I had 2 bug out bags. I was prepping. I'm ready. And actually, I moved to Roanoke, Virginia to get away from the big city. But it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But I will say, it seems like that's a part of the process, and you do make something. You say something that's very, very important, and that the missing link is the love. The missing link is tapping into that that eternal divinity that's within us and connects all of us. So we have that compassion and that understanding of how we can ascend as a group of people, so to speak. Tell us a little bit about that. As a matter of fact, very interestingly enough, we just had one of your speakers on the show, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Jordan Sather was on the show.
Oh, nice.
And
I love him.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good, and I'm very excited for the momentum that he's getting. Absolutely. What days is the conference going to be?
Okay, so the conference will be on January 20th and 21st of this month, and this is actually our third extraterrestrial disclosure summit. We did two last year, one in January and then one in April. So now it's actually we're going into a phase where we're going to start creating routine online conferences because everything has just been new. So we're going to create a few of them, and extraterrestrial disclosure will be an annual conference, probably maybe like the middle of the year. We're going to start doing it.
That's great. And
Yeah.
what makes this different or more special than some of the other extraterrestrial disclosure conferences that we've been seeing around for so many years?
So for this one, it's really full circle awareness. It's not like hardcore ufology nuts and bolts. It's not hardcore into the spirituality new age. I'm really cultivating a balance here with everything that we do in Portal to Ascension. So it's kind of like, for example, we have Grant Cameron and Nick Pope. And Grant Cameron is the foremost researcher on all the current disclosure information right now. Nick Pope, he actually was in the Ministry of Defense in the UK, running the UFO program over there. He basically was the same guy that was doing the same thing that the individual Luis Elizondo, who just came out on CNN and said that he was on the fifth floor of the Pentagon. Nick Pope is the British counterpart to that. So he has a lot of the mainstream news articles are actually quoting him and interviewing him about this, and he has a lot of insight. So we're going to have that component there where we're really going to be talking about current information. And then we're going to go into the spiritual aspect of connecting to these beings, what channeling is, and first contact on a spiritual level. And then also we're going to put in the ancient civilizations where this is also relevant current information too. The conferences in the past about ancient civilizations are now kind of moving into ancient civilization conferences with hardcore archaeological evidence. So we're going to be presenting some evidence that is emerging now onto the mainstream and is going to probably pretty soon start the process of rewriting our history books. I'm really hoping, and everything that we're doing is to start this process this year. We're even like emailing and communicating with other governments in other countries to discuss this information and share presentations with them.
I wanted to go back to what you said about full circle. What did you mean about full circle? You're talking about encompassing the political, the experiential, and the spiritual. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
Yeah, and the ancient civilizations.
Oh, even better. Even better.
Yeah, and the interesting part is like one key component that a lot of people aren't talking about in regards to the recent disclosure with Tom DeLonge is that they basically said and made an announcement that the individuals that are in ET race that is in communication with the U.S. government are actually advanced beings that left Atlantis that basically evolved and are helping with the evolution of our consciousness. Like this was a claim made by Tom DeLonge representing the government. So right now what we're seeing is that there's a merging of all the streams where a lot of people in ufology actually remain in ufology, might not even tap into the consciousness aspect of it, and vice versa. So what I'm trying to do with this event is, as we try to do with everything, is bring it all together, and because it's all truly part of the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of us like myself, I am on a mainstream media fast. I pay no attention to CNN or Washington Post or any of that stuff. Once in a while I'll post something with Washington Post. But I don't listen to corporate news. I have no idea what they're talking about. I saw that they were talking about UFO stuff, and I'm like, oh, great. I don't trust mainstream media, so I don't follow it. But what was the gist of what they were trying to share with everybody as far as like bringing up all this UFO stuff in the mainstream media?
All right, cool. I'll give you like the 2-minute synopsis if I can make it like that. So basically, 2 months ago in October, Tom DeLonge, frontman Blink-182, makes an announcement from his Twitter page via live stream with 5 representatives from the Department of Defense, CIA, NASA, Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, ex-director. All these people had just stopped working for these organizations within the last month, some of them within the last couple of days. They said that UFOs are real, this phenomenon is real, they're attempting to find out what's going on. They want to create an organization, a business, where they can showcase the technology they're finding from these UFOs and do entertainment and write books and stuff in order to inform the public about this 70-year secret that needed to be a secret because they were protecting the citizens. then on December 16th, there was a viral campaign that went onto the mainstream media, starting with the New York Times, that went to CNN, went to MSNBC, basically all the major outlets, the same story, saying the UFO Pentagon UFO program that they had been running from, I think it was 2008 to 2012, I might be wrong on the dates, put $22 million into it in the entire time, and they were looking for UFOs. That followed up with an announcement 2 days later saying that they actually recovered some metal alloys that are non-terrestrial that are stored by Bigelow Industries in Las Vegas right now.
Neil, hold that thought. We're getting cut off into a commercial break.
Okay, yeah.
Remember where you left off, and we'll be right back after this break.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And welcome back to the Just Bernard Show here on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. I believe it's still working. Anyway, as you heard, we are the #1 listener-supported radio station in the world. If you can, please make a contribution to donate to support all the wonderful programs that we have 24/7 on 2 different stations, Studio A and Studio B. As well, of course, this particular radio show, the Just Bernard Show, and all of the work that I do, all the classes and whatnot that I do offer freely to the public does need your support. I, of course, am on patreon.com. You can also just make a donation at bernardalvarez.com/support, and actually that'll take you over to my Patreon page as well. And for those of you that are on Patreon, we just had a new patron join today, and I wanted to let you all know that for my $5 a month or more patrons, you do receive a free copy of my book, The Book of One. As well, there's a new 3 or 4 hour workshop called How to Connect with Your Higher Self and Your Spirit Guides that is available to certain patrons as well. Anyway, go check it out at patreon.com/Bernard Alvarez. And without further ado, let's bring Neil Gaur back onto the show. Neil, we were talking about, just before the break, we were talking about the disclosure story that was happening, and I hope you remember where you left off.
Yep, I do.
Great.
Okay. So I left off at saying that part of the story that came out a few days later, maybe a week later, was that in Las Vegas at Bigelow Industries, there is what they're saying is non-terrestrial metal alloy that they found on one of these crafts. So this all happened from December 16th up until now, all went viral. Goes to show a lot of things about how the deep state works and also how media works. That Tom DeLonge said back in October, everything, he said on his Twitter, everything coming in the next few months, I'm paraphrasing, has been planned for months. Everything that you're going to hear has been planned for months. So what he's saying, that every step, every thing, every release, every document that they show has been planned. They on the Joe Rogan show, he said that we're going to be releasing these documents and this footage within like a couple of weeks before the end of the year, and it all came out. So now, at this point, everybody is speculating on what is actually occurring and what the deep state's agenda truly is with this. So what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks, every other day, and each of these videos have been going viral, like 50,000 views in like 2 days just from every video, on with Grant Cameron, Paula Harris, Ray Hernandez, many different perspectives to kind of delve into what's really going on right now. So that's kind of the gist of what's happening. And Tom DeLonge said, like, within the next couple of months, many more videos are going to be released. Higher quality HD footage is going to be released. Individual people are going to be asking for testing of the non-terrestrial metal alloy. So it's an exciting time, and I'm not too sure where it's going to end up, but it's exciting. This is all coming up now. So I feel yes, disclosure will happen, and it's interesting because I was speaking to Nick Pope, and we just did a video with Nick Pope, and he was like, disclosure's already happened, because technically disclosure is just releasing information that's been hidden, and they've released it. So the disclosure on that level has happened. Now it's in time for it to be implemented and for us to understand what the gravity is on this. But truly, the rabbit hole goes really, really deep, because if we were to figure out the lies behind all of this, the secrecy behind all of this, all the advanced technology that was created from this, how many lives could have been saved from this technology that we had, how we could have saved the planet, how it connects to our ancient civilizations. So it's such a huge component of reality for everybody in the world to understand what's really happened and who we really are. So I think that's the ultimate disclosure. But I think it's going to start with us basically having this extraterrestrial awareness being dripping from maybe the top down, and then also on a grassroots level, so people's awareness will be more open to it. And then I feel when we're at the vibratory frequency where we can kind of meet these beings halfway and they don't feel that we're a threat to them anymore, there may be some open contact, and I feel that that'll probably happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah, it sure seems like it's going to be happening in our lifetime, and I just love the idea of that. But you mentioned something earlier, which kind of, it got me thinking. It made me realize how many layers of this there is when it comes to actual disclosure. And you mentioned something about rewriting the history books, and how much of our history is interconnected with, well, for lack of a better term, ancient alien visitation. Everything from the Native American stories to, for all we know, the pyramids and all these other amazing megalithic structures, as well as the work that Brian Forrester is looking into in Peru with the elongated skulls, and where do they get these concepts. There are just so many layers to it. And I'm wondering, when you say that we're going to need to rewrite history, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so I mean that history has been written and rewritten by the victors. It's not only our ancient history, because what it seems is that we're figuring out now through archaeological evidence and through information put out from researchers like Graham Hancock and in scriptures that have been saying this forever, is that Earth has been going through cycles of consciousness where we've been evolving to an enlightened state, and then we're devolving to a darker, more dualistic state. And it's been happening over and over, and many people say that this is a 26,000-year cycle. But what we're figuring out now is that there were many advanced civilizations that existed at these peaks of human civilization on many different periods of time. It could have gone back millions of years, and a lot of these civilizations have been completely wiped out. Like, we're finding out evidence right now for Atlantis, and the jury for the mainstream is still out on that because they think it's a myth, and that's only the last 13,000 years. So it looks like they could have been advanced civilizations similar to Atlantis or different to them that existed before that we don't even know about. So that's just one component of it. But something as recent as the World Wars, World War I and World War II, and who Chamberlain really was and what was actually going on over there, like, a lot of the information has been taught to us and told to us through the propaganda of the regime at the time. Even calendars have been changed, like the Gregorian calendar, and then just the Bible has been changed over many years, starting at 325 AD and even before that maybe. So a lot of components to our history is completely a delusion. We don't really know truly who we are, what we are, where we came from, and entire parts of our history have been completely wiped out. So through new research and new evidence, the mainstream archaeological movement is not as strong as the alternative movement anymore. Yeah. There's these findings that are coming out that are proving without a doubt, like, there's a skeletal remain of a giant in Ecuador in the museum just right there, and somebody found it, put it there. It's just that the Western people or the Western media doesn't ever showcase it, so we'll never get into the consciousness on the mass level. So, like, this information is there, and the mainstream movement can't say to the alternative movement, oh no, you can't say that there was a flood around this time and this is also related to the flood of Noah and this civilization got wiped out, because the evidence shows different, right? So that's kind of like the gist of what we're attempting to do. And I've been thinking over the last few months of how can we actually not just do these presentations, but make these individuals that might not know about this figure this stuff out so we can start disclosing the truth. So we're going to start touring now, going around the world touring, and also setting up meetings with, like, ministries of defense and attempting to get in with media wherever we can, since we're traveling full time, and start having these conversations about what we can do.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, and it's, you know, and you're hitting all the nails on the head as far as how distorted our history is, and I mean, we're seeing a change now, even now that we're rewriting history, and not necessarily all in a good way as far as the mainstream media is concerned, but I can only imagine how much has been left out, and you know. Again, like you said, history is written by the victors, and it's been so distorted, especially, you know, going back to what you said, like the Bible and all these other historical, quote-unquote, you know, texts and whatnot, are always being distorted, and so much being left out. Not to mention all of the verbal history that was lost, you know, in the last couple thousand years. I can only imagine what was passed on throughout the verbal traditions. So let's talk a bit about the actual conference, and tell us a little bit about some of your speakers and what they're going to be focusing on. Like I said, we had Jordan Sather on. He had spoken about the secret space program. I wonder if he's going to be talking about that a little bit with you guys.
So Jordan has a wealth of information. He's going to be talking about, he's going to be actually touching on information in regards to what's going on with the current disclosure, and also the secret space program, and then advanced technology that we probably see coming out pretty soon. And then let me go through the rest of these speakers here then. So Alan Steinfeld is actually going to be, he's going to be emceeing on the first day, and he's going to talk a little bit about disclosure too. And we've been doing a lot with Alan, and we're pretty soon we're going to start doing some retreats with him too. So he's a huge component to everything that we're doing with Portal to Ascension. And then we have Nick Pope, as I said before. He's going to be giving his insight about how his position was at the Ministry of Defense in the UK, and his speculation on what's going on with the government here. But also something just came out a couple of days ago that one of the UFO sightings that Nick Pope was responsible for in the UK for the government, the US government was actually using the Pentagon in order to investigate that same case. So there's something really important about that case, and he's going to be telling us that at the event.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And then Grant Cameron, we've been doing so many events with Grant Cameron. We've done like 2 with him in the last month, all free events. And you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/portal to ascension, and check them out. If you want to know the whole history of the UFO disclosure from whenever it started, like some people say 70 years ago till now, but have a lot of information on like the last few weeks and every perspective, go to our YouTube channel. We have like hours of footage from all these people there. So Grant Cameron. And then Trisha McCannon, she's going to be doing Antarctica and archaeological evidence for lost civilizations. So she's going to be showcasing information on pyramids, NASA images of Antarctica, and other Google Maps images where you can basically see that there's advanced structures there. But she's also going to tie that into scriptures, ancient scriptures that she's done a lot of research on that talk about what happened in Antarctica, so we can kind of get a picture of what happened to Antarctica, when the pole shift happened, and what it means for our future.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah. Antarctica is huge, man. I think right now, like, I think that pretty soon that it's going to have to be disclosed that there's advanced civilization there, and we're going to get to start seeing things come out of it.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, and then Michael Schratt. So Michael Schratt, he's an individual that's been on both of Stephen Greer's documentaries, but he's never done a presentation because he is an engineer. He was an aeronautical engineer for the U.S. government, for the Department of Defense, and he was one of the people that were actually there working, creating these craft using the reverse engineered technology. And he's only been in documentaries where he's been a whistleblower, but he's never been on the circuit of ufology actually talking about it. So this is going to be his first event coming out as a whistleblower speaking about these craft, and it's perfect timing because a lot of the footage that they're releasing right now from through Tom DeLonge and CNN and all that, there's speculation that this is actually secret space program technology. So he's going to be going through in details different crafts that he worked on and speaking about how it was reverse engineered.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, that's like next level, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we go, then we have John D'Souza. John D'Souza worked in the FBI. He's known as the X-Man because he was responsible for all the paranormal files in the FBI. He left FBI, I think, in 2012, and ever since then he's been talking about the information that he gathered and talking about extraterrestrials and how it connects to the FBI. So John D'Souza. Then Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson is going to channel a being called Adronis from the Sirius constellation. And we've done many events with Brad before, and he's a really amazing channel, so he's going to be joining us.
Sounds great.
Okay, and then Thunderbeat Devara, she's an experiencer, so we're going to have the experiencer perspective of, she's going to be talking about her experiences, the messages that she gained from that experience. And then we have David. David, he hasn't presented before. He's basically an upcoming millennial in this awareness of extraterrestrials. He's a galactic channel, and he's created this website, Galactic Alliance, where you sign up and you become a member, and you get up-to-date information on everything disclosure plus channeled information. So I really like what he's done and put together. So I'm teaming up with him now to bring him onto Portal to Ascension.
Oh, wow. That sounds wonderful. Great.
Yeah. So there we go. We have 2 days, and we have how many speakers? We have 12 speakers in 2 days.
And is it going to be 6 and 6 each day?
Yeah, 6 and 6.
Wow. And so for those of us that want to participate in in both days, is it done through? Is it going to be done through Zoom or YouTube, or how are we going to be sharing and participating?
So you can sign up on our website, and actually everybody, our website is down right now because we're relaunching our site tomorrow, entirely new site with a membership platform, Netflix-like backend, really amazing website. So right now it's down, but tomorrow you can go to our site, portaltoascension.org, and just go to the first event there, Extraterrestrial Disclosure Summit. You sign up, and then the webinar is going to be through Zoom. So we'll just send you the reminders and the notifications with a link so you can join us on the day of the event.
Wow, that's going to be great. And will that be, are you going to archive it, make it available for those who missed a speaker or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So you have unlimited replay access to any of our events, and I could share a few of our other events in a second, but so if you attend any of these events, you have unlimited replay access. You can also become a member, a quarterly member or an annual or a biannual or annual member, where you get access to every single webinar we do within that period of time, and we do 3 a month. And you also get access to every webinar we've ever done, which is probably 2,000, 3,000 hours of footage on all types of topics.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. My gosh. Well, Neil, this sounds fantastic, and I'm just so grateful that you're still at it. I'm so grateful that Portal to Ascension is evolving. You know how it is. We want to quit sometimes, but we keep on going anyway.
Yeah, man.
And you've really overcome many obstacles, and
Thank you.
Portal to Ascension is here for the long run. And I'm so happy that you're a part of my journey. And speaking of Ascension, let's talk that. We've got about 5 more minutes left, and so many of us have different definitions of Ascension. And I guess my question today to you would be, what does Ascension have to do with disclosure? Is it a part of the awakening? We're not. Please tell me we're not all going to be lifted away by UFOs or anything like that.
No. I feel, okay, so I used to think pre-2012 Ascension was a date. I thought that we're all going to vanish. I don't know how it could be lifted from UFOs. I just felt something was going to happen. It was going to be an event. After 2012, what I noticed within the community is that everybody became more present, more in the now. It wasn't about waiting for something, but making change now. And that's what happened in my life. So the Ascension is an ongoing process in which we are going to a higher octave, which is a higher vibration, because the universe is one verse. It's just a song, and we're in one vibration right now. We're going to a higher octave. Some people call it the fifth dimension. Maybe without linearity in space-time, the concept of dimensions only exists on the planet Earth, so maybe that's why we consider it a dimension. But we're ascending to this level where the vibration of every single individual will be at a different level, where we're more in harmony with the universe, with ourselves, with each other, with our planet. When we're at that level, this is how it ties into disclosure. When you're in that level, you usher in transparency, unity, oneness, and love. So when you're at that level of transparency and vulnerability, disclosure needs to happen. Transparency of who we are and our purpose on this planet, our remembrance of who we are, because right now we pretty much operate mostly from ego because we don't really remember anything about who we are. all of that will come forward. And then the disclosure of the extraterrestrial presence is one key step, because a lot of these extraterrestrial beings are higher vibratory beings. They vibrate at a higher frequency. They exist at the dimension that we're actually going to. So right now we exist in such a dense reality, we don't perceive many ETs that are all around us, motherships that are in the space. When we raise our frequency of the planet and ourselves, we'll start perceiving all of this, and we can usher in a different reality where we have open communication with beings and have full disclosure.
Wow, I just had, and thank you, and that was a great explanation. I just had a mini download, so thank you. I was downloading while you were speaking, something vibrated.
That's beautiful.
Something attuned within me, and the word that did it for me was remembering, and remembering who we are, where we came from, and that really is a part. I do believe that disclosure is a part of that remembering that we are a part of a universal family. We're not these lonely. We're not living on a desert planet, so to speak. We're not the only ones out there. And when we're talking about ETs or this type of disclosure, we also have to take into consideration parallel universes, interdimensional beings. For example, my story, and I really don't talk about my story, but I will be talking about it more with my new book coming out. But the entities I work with are Arcturian. But is Arcturian a physical being that comes around in a spaceship? No, these are light beings that are transdimensional. So it's very different than what people might consider extraterrestrial. So there's just so much to the story, and the layers are being pulled away, and it all is leading to what we're talking about here, the Ascension, and exactly why we need something like a portal to Ascension. That's exactly what we need. So, Neil, how is there a cost for them signing up for this particular conference coming up, and how much is it? And can they just do one conference, or do they have to do the quarterly membership?
Yeah, you can purchase individual webinars on our site, or you can purchase membership. It's up to you. When we do one-day summits are 55, 2-hour workshops to 4-hour workshops with speakers of 33, and then 2-day summits are 97. And then the way it works is we give 50% of the proceeds to the speakers to help them with their research and fund them, and then other 50% goes back to us so that we can keep doing these events.
Yeah, of course. And actually, that's very reasonable, and I'm grateful that the speakers are willing to do it for so little, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, it actually, one thing that I'm really happy is we've actually become a good income source for many of these speakers on a regular basis every quarter, because we get good attendance, so it's like, it's really helping us out, and it's helping us now to start creating the live events, which we're going to be doing for the rest of the year.
That's great. That is just really great. Cool. So cool. And, when was it? I think I saw Tricia McCannon on one of yours. Was it last year, or maybe it was another conference? But I really enjoyed her story as well. She's got an interesting, very clear, articulate way of looking at all of this. So
exactly.
I forgot what you said she was going to be talking about.
She's doing Antarctica and archaeological evidence.
That's right. Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Neil, we are just about out of time, and I'm wondering what are your thoughts, or what would be the one thing you would tell everyone in the world if you knew the entire world was listening?
What would I tell them? Well, there's two things. First, I would say UFOs exist, ETs are real. Do the research, find it out, so that we can start moving into this new world quicker than we have been. And then what I would say to all the people that are listening and that are consciously in this movement, I would say the time is now to step up, live your passion, and do what you want and speak your truth. It's no longer time to hold this, just to ourselves, but to spread this awareness, because it's coming now, and it's going to sweep over the planet pretty soon.
Excellent. That's very, very true, all of that. So remember, everyone, it's at portaltoascension.com or .org?
.org, but .com forward to it, so either or.
So portaltoascension.org, and the new website will be available tomorrow afternoon, or?
Yeah, like around noon Pacific time, we should be live.
Oh,
whole new website.
Fantastic. Anyway, so thank you so much, Neil. I'm so grateful you were able to join us today, and I look forward to the conference and getting able to catch some of those wonderful speakers. And I'm sure we will talk very soon. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Bernard. I appreciate it, brother. Okay, we'll talk later.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay,
and
bye-bye.
everybody, next week we're going to have Teresa Yanaros also will be on the show, who actually works with Jordan Sather as well. So join us here next week on revolution.radio and, of course, on my Facebook.com page. You're watching the Just Bernard Show. I love you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.